640 relating to Nigeria and the sanctions regime. I'd like to thank the 220,330 people who have signed this petition, or at least had done when I last checked it this morning, especially the 853 of them who are my constituents in Chipping Barnet. This petition has been prompted by the disturbing events in Nigeria over recent weeks. There have been widespread protests regarding the activities of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad of the Nigerian police, known as SARS. This unit has a deeply controversial reputation, and the hashtag #EndSARS started to appear prominently on social media back in 2017. Reports of violence and human rights abuses by SARS date back several years, but these latest protests followed circulation of a video in early October, shockingly, which many believe shows a man being killed by SARS officers. On the 11th of October, President Buhari announced plans to disband the unit. However, such promises have been made in the past, and yet SARS seemingly has continued to operate. This would in fact be the fourth time it was abolished. Many protesters therefore felt that disbanding SARS, even assuming it happens, would not be sufficient to tackle long-standing problems with police brutality, particularly if SARS officers are simply assigned to different parts of the police service. Activists are now calling for a complete overhaul of policing in Nigeria. They also want police officers responsible for beatings, killings, extortion, unlawful detention and other crimes to be held to account. So the protests continued, and thousands of Nigerians, most of them under 30, took part in events such as peaceful marches, candlelit vigils, multi-faith prayer sessions. People came together across divides, having different social, cultural and tribal backgrounds. Supportive comments flowed in from the Nigerian diaspora around the world, from celebrities, and the End SARS movement quickly widened beyond the concerns expressed initially about policing and started to capture some of the general frustrations of a young population demanding an end to poor governance and corruption. But I'm afraid the situation became far more grave on 20th October when the Nigerian army and police opened fire on a peaceful demonstration at the Lekki toll gate in suburban Lagos. What happened is disputed, but Amnesty International have tracked events through photos and video footage posted by protesters. They show army trucks approaching the protesters from both sides of the toll gate, blocking them in. Shooting with live rounds started almost immediately with no warning given. A local musician, Obianuju Catherine Uday, was streaming the events live on Instagram as it happened, and later she said, there was a guy that was running and he fell and we looked at him. He was shot in the back. Several people are now looking for missing loved ones, including Elisha Sunday Ibanga. An eyewitness told CNN that Elisha's brother Victor was shot in the head during the protest and his body was taken away. The US broadcaster report that they have seen a geolocated photo of Victor Ibanga lying in a pool of blood and wrapped in the white and green Nigerian flag, one of the same flags held by protesters earlier in the evening as they sang their national anthem. Similarly and equally tragically, Peace Okon is someone who hasn't seen her younger brother Wisdom since he went to the demonstration on the night of the shootings. She said, I've gone to hospitals, I've gone to police stations, I've gone everywhere, I can't find him. It isn't clear how many were injured or lost their lives in Lekki, but Amnesty International estimate that 56 people have died since the protests began. And they've documented many instances where excessive and disproportionate force has been used to try to control or stop protests. The shootings at the Lekki toll gate have sent shock through many in Nigeria. For many, it seemed like the last straw. The government there has promised judicial panels of inquiry to investigate what happened, but there is widespread scepticism about whether these processes will be effective in holding to account those responsible for the bloodshed and the human rights abuses which have occurred. And that concern is, I believe, felt by many constituents here in the UK, especially those with heritage or family links to Nigeria. This is illustrated by the huge support for this e-petition we're considering this evening, which asks the UK government to consider imposing sanctions. Now, as I read it, the petitioners are asking for Magnitsky-type sanctions against named individuals within the Nigerian government and security forces. There's a recognition that generalised old-style sanctions applied to the country as a whole might cause hardship to ordinary people not in any way responsible for the problems highlighted by the petition. So this debate is a vital opportunity to hear from the Minister and to have her respond to this urgent appeal from the e-petitioners. An appeal that the government consider imposing targeted sanctions against certain individuals believed to be culpable in relation to the violent and excessive police response to peaceful protests in Nigeria. The new Magnitsky sanctions regime started to operate in July, and I believe its creation is one of the best and most important foreign policy decisions made since the Conservatives returned to government in 2010. It puts us ahead of many other countries in showing how seriously we take human rights abuses around the world. It even, I gather, earned us praise from Guy Verhofstadt, which is undoubtedly